Welcome to Loud and Unscripted, the podcast where authenticity meets growth. I'm Kaity.
And I'm Thalia. Join us as we fearlessly dive into the dynamic world of relationships,
Untangle family dramas, and empower women with a growth mindset.
No scripts.
Just real conversations.
Welcome to another episode of Loud and Unscripted. Today we're going to get really loud about being confident because it's so important as a woman to have confidence in this world, to achieve all of the things you want. To be the creator of your life, you must have confidence. And especially in the world where men rule it, unfortunately. It's the truth.
And
I hate to say that, but
for women, it's the truth. The expectations for women can sometimes be so high, and I feel like we are working well as a society to maneuver, but it's still just not at the place that we want it to be.
Right. And we gotta jump through a little bit more hoops than our male counterparts.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't do it, and that there's not some steps that we've taken to build up that confidence. The first thing is that I want to just, before we go into the steps to build it up, is like, what is confidence? What does that look like? And what it looks like is that you love yourself. And you love yourself.
Your face, your body, your butt, your stretch marks, your feet, your nose, your everything that
your
creates
hair,
you.
your attitude, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yep.
You're just like, I love me, and I will be one to admit that's really hard to get to that point. It's not easy, and it's something that you have to work towards every single day. It feels like I'm working towards it every single day. And one of the most frequently asked questions that I get about my personality is like, how are you so confident? How are you so confident in this? Or how do you avoid this? How do you get away? How do you deal with like haters and all these things? It's like, it's a work in progress, and I'm constantly working towards it. So we're going to dive into, exactly how we've been able to become her.
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I feel like I've always been like this, like ever since I was a little girl. I've even had people tell me this, that I just you just show up as the woman that you want to be, right? Like write down all the aspects that you're like, this is what I want to embody, and just show up as her. And you might still be thinking like, but how? Literally just, how does she move? How does she act? How does she carry herself? Show up as her. Be aware of that. Think of that, and like move in that energy.
Yeah.
That is where you need to start.
So number one, decide exactly who she is, right? Like cast that vision over your life. Like, who do I want to be when I decide that I am in this version of myself that loves herself fully? How does she move?
What does she
Who
wear?
are her friends?
Yes.
What does
she
she wear?
smell like? What is, like, even those things that might feel materialistic, but I think even those things are important too. Like, what does she wear? How does she smell? When she looks in the mirror, how does she like get that confident feel? What is she looking at?
No, that's super important too, because it might seem superficial, but it does start from the external, especially when you've never done this work to vision cast. You have to have tangibles. Yeah. Like, you have to have things that you can feel. Yeah, I want to know exactly what she wears. I want to know what she smells like, because those are things that I could go and grab. And I can start to embody her quickly.
Yes.
The other things, like the attitude and the other things that we're going to dive into, those are more mental games that you have to really work towards. But, like, decide what she wears and go for it. Or decide how her hair looks. If you're someone who is like, I want to look put together all the time, start doing that. Yeah. We live in a world where information is endless. If you want to start being this version of yourself, you can literally Google how to for everything.
Or even Pinterest. I have Pinterest boards. There are hacks of how to do easy put together hair. If you feel like, I don't have time, I have all these kids and stuff like that. Okay, 5 minutes in the bathroom, mom. That's all you need. Primp, do a quick 5-minute makeup, and there you go. That's 10 minutes for your hair and makeup, and you look put together and fly, and you like feel your best self just by giving yourself that well-deserved time.
Right. So I love that you said that first, because yes, have a vision and then go for it. And start, I think it's important. Yeah. Start with the stuff that you can grab, the materialistic. Show up as her for sure.
And showing up as her, it may seem a little scary because you're like, wow, now I'm going to change and people are going to probably judge me. Rebuke, reject the devil, who cares? Like, those opinions do not matter. I care about opinions of people that I love, But I also decide which ones are going to elevate me and which ones are going to make me care more about myself. Like, which ones do I feel like I'm going to implement on my shoulders so that I can be better? But you're never going to have me feeling a way about myself.
Right. Yeah, because what you said, you know, this is number 2 if you're keeping track there. It's like
why not?
you're going to reject those opinions of others, because here's the thing, you know, all of the negative feelings you have about yourself, you were not born that way.
Yeah.
That's like really important. Like, so important is that you did not think when you were an infant, oh my God, my feet are so big.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my hair doesn't do this. You know, like, you were just blissfully loving life, loving yourself, because you just deserve that. And you need to go back to that version, because every idea that's negative about yourself, whether that's I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too loud, that was imposed by you by someone else.
Yeah, and if you love being the loud person, be the loud one.
Yeah.
Do it. Do whatever makes you happy when you look in the mirror.
Right. Like, do not let your self-esteem be dictated by someone else, because for as far as you have lived, right, as long as you have lived, all of those opinions have been placed upon you. They're a byproduct, which is crazy, that low self-esteem, it doesn't even come from you. It's a byproduct of other people. And as Latinas, we know that starts so young, right? It's like,
with your
flaquita, gordita, and it's just like,
and you just get a nickname based on what you look like, and it's just like, damn. So like,
ay,
does that
ese
mean
tiene
that's
pelo malo, ay,
yeah,
just like talking about your physical attributes,
always,
and you link that to yourself. It really becomes,
and it becomes your own conversations, how you decide to, like, you know, when we talk to ourselves or when we look at ourselves or what we're telling ourselves.
Boom, that's point number 3 right there. It's like, you gotta monitor your self-talk.
Yeah.
You have to, because the way that you talk to yourself is the way that you view yourself, and in turn, the way that the world views you.
Yes.
If you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I'm this and I'm that, and you start to pick yourself apart, the world will also do the same. They're not gonna see, like, the highest version of you, because you haven't seen her yet.
Yeah.
And so it's just going to validate all those emotions. So it does start in your mind. It's like, really monitor your self-check, your self-talk.
Nip them in the bud. Like, the minute you hear yourself going to a negative place, just immediately start to question it. That's at least what I've done. Is
I love that.
Yeah, just be like, but why do I feel that way?
Yeah,
where did that come from? Was that me, or did someone say something around me that made me feel like maybe that's what they think of me, or that's what they said about themselves, so maybe I should be thinking about that, because what if other people see that? Like, and the truth is, we're all in our mind like that, so we're not really always paying attention to those around us and, like, what their little nooks and crannies are. Like, we are our biggest judge, or not judge, or what is it? Our biggest critic. Yes.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
But, like, in monitoring your self-talk, it's like realizing that your thoughts are also sometimes not thoughts, but, like, your opinions are also not fact, which is like, that's where you gotta be so self-aware, where you're like, wait a second, like you mentioned, that one didn't come from me, and if I did think that, where did that come from? Your thoughts are also not your reality, you know? It's like, what your brain, guys, we have thoughts flowing all day long. I could be sitting here right now with Thalia and thinking, like, oh my God, are my feet okay? You know, silly things like that. And you gotta learn to be like, wait, I am not my running thought. I am me, and I know. And bring yourself back to that point. Check those self-thoughts, and just in simple phrases is like, be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Be kind. If you want to talk to your friend the way that you're talking to yourself, just don't do it.
Oftentimes, when people are judging us or saying things like that, like flaquita, gordita, it's a projection. It's a projection of either what they think of themselves, or what they maybe wish that someone will call them, what they think is a compliment because they don't embody that. I've once been told that I should eat a burger as a compliment. And, like, if I say maybe you should eat less burgers, that would be rude, right? So, like, we need to think about, like, and I didn't say it, but it was just something that I was just like, why do you think that that's
okay?
Okay for you to say to me? Because what you're saying is that I'm not enough, I'm not full enough, I'm not something enough, that I am not fitting your standard of what you think is beauty.
And that's the whole thing. It's yours, not mine.
But I had to sit there and think of, like, okay, looking at this person, I know she thinks like that's a good thing or it's a funny joke or whatever. It's a compliment.
Right.
So sometimes it's just projection.
Yeah, and you just make sure that you're checking your thoughts daily so you're not absorbing those projections and making them your own. That's really, really, that's a big one because it's like we spend most of our times with ourselves. So make sure you're nice to yourself. Yes. All right. And moving on to our next point is like, you got to do what you're afraid of doing.
Yes.
Mm.
Oh, I love this though.
I know. I think this is probably like
adrenaline rush.
I want to say this is like the biggest one because it's the action that you take. Yeah. And you can't get confident or become a confident woman by listening to podcasts or by, reading a book. You can only become confident
by action.
By taking action.
Yep. By doing all the things that you're afraid of. And the reason why I was like, oh, I love this. It's an adrenaline rush because it's just like, oh my God, I'm putting myself out there. Like, you don't know what's about to happen. You don't know how this journey is about to go. But the point is that you started. You did something that you're like, this is something I've always wanted to do. You did something that would make your present or maybe like your future self, happy, your past self happy. Like, wow, I really did that. I came out of my zone. And now I'm actually out here like moving mountains. Right. And it takes that first step. Not everyone is capable of doing it. And like failure is such an illusion. People are afraid to fail because they think like people are watching me and that's when you fail. You fail when you stop. But that's not true. You experience something. Yeah, but it's never failure. Experience is the accomplishment. You did something that nobody else got to experience. So now people ask you about it. Right. And then they're like, oh, but how did it end? And you're like, oh, well, I just really didn't like it anymore. Like, there's nothing wrong with that because you change as time goes on. Yeah. And I think a lot of times people are just, we let our fear, and this is why we said, like, don't be afraid, just dive in. We let our fear also stop us from other people seeing us try. Like, we're just scared of trying. Yep. Because you don't want someone else to be like, look at her, she's a beginner. Mm-hmm. Look at her. And remember that you're only going to become the Beyonce of whatever you want to do if you start with some crackly notes. Like, you're going to start sounding a little funny at first before you are the Beyonce. Yeah. And so it takes just you going for it. I mean, let's put like simple things like, even just, I speak to a lot of women, I mentor a lot of women in the online space, and just like getting on front of the camera, that's super scary for a lot of people. I know when I started like about almost 6 years ago now, I was afraid too. Oh my God, my voice. Oh my God, this, that, like just judging myself based on all the projections in the past. Yeah. And when I started to do it, that's when my confidence in doing it started to really build. I wasn't confident first and then showed up. I showed up and became confident. And that's what you got to do with everything in life. Like, just literally anything you want to become confident in. Maybe it's your workspace. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I never answer the Zoom calls. Or like, I'm never the first person. Start doing it. And I promise you're going to become even more confident than you've ever even imagined. Because you're taking the action steps. Yeah. And you're not afraid of trying. Yeah. And instead of, wondering, when you see someone else doing something amazing and thinking to yourself like, oh, why can't that be me? Make it a different connotation of why not me. More like, wow, she's doing it, then why not me? I can do it too. That's the kind of presence that you need to bring to yourself and remind yourself. Because you know what was really scared inside? It's your inner child that's scared of trying because someone told you, oh, that's not what we do. That's not, oh, that's stupid. And so oh, that's stupid. Okay, the people around me whose opinion I currently value when I'm 10, 11, 12, that stuck with you. So now that you're an adult, you've never sifted through that, and now you're like, oh, like, okay, so not me. I don't do that, or that's only for other people. And it's not true. Life is meant to be experienced. Experience everything. Do it awkward. Be embarrassed, but like,
be cringe.
Be cringe. Okay. Who cares? Yeah. Who cares? Okay, let's get real. Loud and unscripted. How many times did we have to restart? Because because we were like, oh fuck, wait, that's not what I want to say. Okay, let's start again. Like, we're not gonna sit here and be like, oh, this sucks. We suck. Of course we fucking suck. We've never done this before, right?
So, like, what mic do we use? What do we do?
Yeah, what do we do now? Having our boyfriends try to be our tech, like making them figure stuff out for us, and it's fine because we are doing it, and there are other people who are like, wow, this is so great.
Right.
So it's amazing to feel that.
And you're your biggest critic, and that's the thing too. Is like, you may be so hard on yourself and someone else is praising you. So just be so kind to yourself and just like realize that it's okay to fail forward. Mm-hmm. Try something new, fail, and keep going.
Get up.
Yeah, get up. It doesn't matter if you failed. It's just really if you stay down there. And that just applies for everything. Maybe you're afraid of starting to date, and you're not going to become more confident in dating until you just start dating. Just start talking, be yourself, love yourself. And the last point is like, be okay saying no.
Oh my God. Say no. Don't be afraid.
Yeah,
like, it's
don't
really
be afraid
not.
to say no.
It's okay. Like, no one's gonna hate you for it. And if you are someone who's a little bit more shy, there are different ways to say no. Or maybe not today. Or like, just make it like, just make it obvious that you're not into it. You don't have to be like, ew, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to give people that kind of energy. It's okay to just disagree or just, that's not for me. That's not what I want to do.
Start saying no. Yes. Because the thing is like when you are someone who you find is always saying yes, you're basically saying no to yourself a lot, which literally goes in direct conflict with what confidence is, which is self-love. And if you love yourself enough, you're going to know, wait, this doesn't feel right for me. So why would I continue with this? Or no, I don't really feel like doing this today. And so, you got to start practicing the art of saying no.
Yeah.
Because if you're stuck in people-pleasing ways still, you're never going to be 100% confident because you're never truly only thinking about yourself. And I don't want you to only think about yourself, but when you're trying to become her, like you mentioned, you're not keeping her in mind if you're constantly saying yes to everything around you and everyone. Because at some point you're sacrificing her.
And a way to give that moment for yourself, just like, just give me 1 second, let me think about it. Or like,
wow,
let me just
great.
see if
That's
I can.
Great advice.
Let me just see if because maybe you do want to do it. Or
And
maybe
then
you
you
just
can,
gotta figure out your bandwidth.
Yes, and then you can really like sit with yourself. I love that advice. Because you also, that's such a great advice for people pleasers, I think, because you're not being mean. You're not saying no. You're just saying, wait a second, let me go and have my own thoughts first. Let me just, before I just spill out yes, let me go take a second. And that's so great to be like, oh, let me think about it and then come back. And
my gem for this podcast, this episode, is being a confident woman is a lifestyle, bitch. It's like, it's a mindset, it's a lifestyle, it's an embodiment, it's something that you have to continuously do. Right. It's not something that you just like pick up here and there, you have to keep with those motions. And some days will not look the same, of course. Sometimes being that bitch is, this bitch is tired and she wants to sleep, she wants to take care of herself, she wants to do something else today. And allowing yourself to do that.
Yeah. And can we also say that like being confident doesn't mean that you are always like the hardest, like strong, like I don't know, I feel like some people have like this idea of confidence where it's like strong, loud, and all these things. And you know what? There's different personalities, and I think you can be confident being soft and just as long as you keep point, like I mentioned in the beginning, if you love yourself fully, you're gonna be confident because no one's gonna be able to tell you your hair is ugly today because you looked in the mirror and you were like, I look fabulous. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else but you think about yourself. That's when you know I hit my peak of confidence.
When you're just so unbothered, unmoved, and you're like, okay, like that's what you think, but I don't really. I don't move by what. I know me. I don't move by what you think of me.
Like I keep thinking of a couples retreat. Like, I know my truth.
I know my truth.
I know my truth.
That's exactly how it is.
Like, you know your truth. They have their truth, and you're gonna become confident every day if you just work at this. Like, I gotta work at this every day. It's not. I mean, I like to say that in a lot of scenarios, I am confident. Even when I'm not, even when in my mind in that moment, I'm thinking to myself, "This is a little scary." No one's gonna know it. No one's
You're
gonna
never
know
gonna
it.
know until after I'm like, ooh, that was so scary. Like,
Right.
I don't know how I did that.
Because I keep her in mind always. I'm like, she would not back down from this, or she would make sure her point would get across. And so important. It's just like, be her, show up as her, like Thalia said, a lifestyle, baby. It can't be picking and choosing.
No.
Confidence is consistent.
Push through.
Consistent action. So take that consistent action, love yourself, check yourself, and you got this, baby girl.
Let us know your best confident moment. I almost said boss girl, but I don't really want it to be like a boss girl thing. Like, let us know your most confident moment or your best moment where you realize, like, you flipped that switch and you're like, I'm no longer going back to that version of me. This is who I am now.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Let us know. We want you to be confident, loud, and unscripted. See you in the next one.